Say a name out loud. Cicero. Something invisible has just happened. A noise you made in a room has reached out and fastened onto one specific human being in history. And it does this even if almost everything you believe about them is wrong. For roughly 40 years, philosophy relied on the descriptive theory. It argued that a name is simply a shorthand bundle of descriptive facts stored inside your head. These facts form a target that points directly to a person. We can test this by looking at Richard Feynman. If you ask a person on the street who Feynman is, they might offer exactly one fact. He was some kind of physicist. Under the descriptive theory, that single fact isn't enough to isolate one human being. Some kind of physicist describes thousands of people. According to the strict rules of the theory, the average person should not be able to uniquely refer to Richard Feynman at all. Yet everyday conversation proves we do it constantly. The facts inside our own brains are clearly not what anchors our words to reality. The connection relies on a completely different piece of machinery. To dismantle the old consensus, we can use a thought experiment centered around the mathematician Kurt Gödel. Most people know exactly one thing about him. He proved the incompleteness of arithmetic. But imagine a scenario where a man named Schmidt actually discovered the theorem. Schmidt dies in obscurity in Vienna. His manuscript falls into Gödel's hands, and Gödel takes all the credit. This creates a massive paradox. If the name Gödel simply means the man who discovered the incompleteness theorem, and Schmidt is the one who actually discovered it, then every time we say Gödel, we are technically referring to Schmidt. That result is absurd. When we talk about Gödel in this scenario, we clearly mean the man who stole the work, even if every descriptive fact we hold about him is false. Our internal descriptions can fail entirely. Our ability to speak about the truth has to rely on a structure outside of the human mind. In January 1970, a 29-year-old philosopher named Saul Kripke delivered 3 unscripted lectures at Princeton University and proposed a totally different architecture for language. Kripke argued that names are not descriptions. They are what he called rigid designators. A rigid designator acts as a permanent anchor. It holds on to the exact same object across every possible way the world might have turned out. Even if a person had a completely different career, lived in a different city, or achieved nothing they are famous for, their name stays locked to their specific physical entity. By treating names as anchors rather than shorthand definitions, Kripke showed that our language bypasses human error. It touches physical reality directly. If a name isn't a description you hold in your memory, what actually attaches the word to a person in the physical world? The process starts with an initial act of baptism. Back in time, someone physically attached a sound to an object by pointing directly at it. From there, a chain of communication forms. The name is handed from speaker to speaker over decades or centuries, extending outward like a rope tied to that original steel piton. To keep the chain intact, you only need one thing. You must intend to use the word exactly as the person who handed it to you. You don't need to be an expert. You can successfully talk about a specific type of metal or a historical figure while being completely ignorant of the facts, because you are holding the end of a rope maintained by your community. Reference is a physical, historical bond carried across time by human society. In his book, Every Possible World, Boris Kreger takes Kripke's abstract philosophy of language and proves it is the exact hidden architecture currently governing modern global databases. Kreger applies this to international maritime registries, which track cargo ships operating under global sanctions. A sanctioned ship can easily evade authorities by altering its descriptive traits. Owners will paint the hull, change the flag state, and literally paint a new name over the old one. If you rely on descriptions, the ship vanishes. To solve this, regulators assign a meaningless, permanent registry number. It carries no descriptive information at all. It acts entirely as a rigid designator, tracking the physical hull through decades of disguises. Kreger finds the exact same structure in forensic science. When investigators worked to identify victims in the mass graves at Srebrenica, heavy machinery had scattered the remains. Physical descriptions were destroyed. The only way to reattach a name to a person was through DNA matching, a pure physical chain of custody. Whether regulators are hunting sanctioned ships or forensic teams are identifying remains,
Modern data systems only work when they abandon descriptive labels and rely on a physical chain of custody. Krieger's analysis leads to a sharp warning about the sudden explosion of artificial intelligence and generated text. Large language models are flawless at manipulating descriptive language. They output perfect grammar and endless facts, but they lack any historical, physical connection to the real world. As machines outside physical reality become our primary communicators, they threaten the social chain of truth. If closed algorithmic loops replace human chains of communication, our systems lose their anchor. Our words risk becoming elaborate descriptions that point at absolutely nothing. Meaning does not live inside an algorithm, and it doesn't live isolated inside your brain. It is a fragile, historical bond, and it only survives if a community of living people holds the rope.